Imagine walking through a dense, misty, temperate rainforest in eastern Australia, where sunlight filters through giant ferns. Suddenly, on the damp forest floor, you discover what looks like a tiny, abandoned village. There are miniature roads made of small, dry sticks laid out in neat, parallel lines. Intricate walls of woven twigs are carefully arranged to form a central, vertical archway. And scattered around the entrance are bright blue decorations placed in a deliberate pattern. You see blue bottle caps, feathers, and berries, all placed with seemingly perfect, conscious intention. At first glance, a human observer might easily think a skilled human artisan built it. But every single piece of this elaborate display was painstakingly collected by a single bird. And it was not built to serve as a nest, nor to hide from predators. The entire creation serves only one extraordinary purpose: to impress a highly selective female. Why would a bird spend months building a fake city instead of simply finding food? Most bird species build nests for one very clear, singular biological reason. They construct simple, fast, and highly practical shelters to safely raise their vulnerable babies. But the male bowerbird approaches reproduction and shelter with a completely different philosophy. He spends weeks, sometimes consecutive months, building a structurally elaborate, non-functional monument. Yet, no eggs are ever laid inside this highly detailed, masterfully woven avenue. No tiny chicks will ever be raised within its intricate, decorative stick walls. The entire complex construction has only one ultimate purpose: to impress a visiting mate. The male bowerbird begins his grand project by collecting hundreds of uniform, dry twigs. One by one, he carefully arranges them vertically into long, parallel tunnels. He crafts tiny courtyards that resemble a miniature, organized forest village from a fantasy. In this avian construction site, every single stick must serve an absolute visual purpose. If even one small branch looks slightly out of place, he aggressively removes it. For such a small creature, this level of geometric precision is absolutely astonishing. But constructing the wooden avenue is merely the first step of his artistic process. Once the stick archway is complete, the male bowerbird immediately begins the decorating process. He gathers vibrant blue feathers, blue forest flowers, and discarded cicada wings. He even collects modern blue plastic objects left behind in the forest by humans. Some individual bowerbirds become completely obsessed with this single, specific shade of blue. He carefully sorts his treasured decorations by size to maximize the visual impact, placing larger objects in the back and smaller ones near the direct center entrance. This clever arrangement creates a forced perspective optical illusion, making the display look grander. While humans use this visual trick in photography and cinema, the bird discovered it independently. After weeks of intense, physical labor, everything now depends on one critical moment. A female bowerbird finally lands on a nearby branch, observing the massive display below. She does not choose the largest male, nor does she look for physical strength. Instead, she quietly walks through the avenue of sticks, inspecting every fine detail. She carefully analyzes the symmetry, the color choices, and the neatness of his layout. If she notices broken twigs or a messy arrangement, she simply flies away. Months of daily, exhausting preparation are casually rejected in just a few silent seconds. While deer fight with heavy antlers, bowerbirds compete using cognitive and creative intelligence. Instead of proving physical dominance, they show who is patient and attentive to detail. Over millions of years of sexual selection, beauty became an essential survival skill. However, in the dense rainforest, not every male competitor plays by the rules. Sometimes, a rival male sneaks into a neighbor's display while the owner is away. He maliciously steals precious blue decorations and breaks the meticulously arranged stick walls. The owner returns from foraging to find his lifelong artistic masterpiece completely ruined. Undeterred, he immediately begins rebuilding the structure from the very first twig. For years, researchers assumed these complex avian behaviors were governed purely by basic instinct. But the bowerbirds challenged this assumption, as every individual designs their bower differently. Some prefer perfect geometric symmetry, while others experiment with bold, abstract color combinations. This suggests they are not just following hardwired code, but learning and making choices. Today, scientists study these incredible birds to better understand the evolutionary origins of art. When a tiny bird creates pure beauty, it forces us to ask a profound question. How old is creativity? And did it truly begin with the dawn of humanity? Deep inside the misty Australian rainforest, tiny masterpieces are still being constructed daily. These complexes are built not by architects or human engineers, but by wild birds. They prove that the greatest builders on Earth are not always building to survive. They are simply building to be chosen, creating art to win a mate's heart. And perhaps the first true artists on Earth never held a paintbrush at all.